gloves and masks. Take what you need.
Can we drop these off here?
Yes, sir. We more the merrier. Snacks, water, and gloves. We got masks.
Gloves. Thank y'all for doing this. Seriously.
For sure, man.
Yeah. Anyone? Y'all want to give an interview? Anybody? Yeah. You down?
If you, for sure.
Yeah, man. Okay. All right. Here. We'll do this. So, what's your name?
Zachary Davis.
Zachary Davis. All right. What are you here for?
I'm here because I'm tired of the injustice that happened here in America time and time again for all these years that's been going on. For almost 400 years, we've been fighting to try to be equal. This whole time we've been trying to find to be equal. Everything we do, we kneel, it's a problem. We're sons of bitches. We go and we try to peacefully protest. We get shot with rubber bullets. So what do they want us to do? Either way, we're going to be sons of bitches no matter what we do. So we're out here just trying to make a difference. We're providing.
What is this?
This here, we're just trying to provide water,
is it,
snacks.
Y'all doing this for free?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Awesome.
We just brought out these supplies for everybody. Whatever they need. We have gloves, masks, water, snacks.
Or y'all just doing this independently?
No, just pretty much independently. Just doing this on our own accord.
Zachary Davis, yeah.
Zachary Davis. This is my boy. It was Alex right here. That's my boy Tori here over there. My boy Damon over here. We just wanted to come out and try to make a difference, do our part.
Definitely.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Seriously, that's awesome. Thank y'all for supporting the community too.
Sure, man.
Yeah. Thank y'all. Seriously, we'll come back around. We'll get some more from y'all too.
Appreciate it, man.
Deep within our hearts is sin, the sinful curse. The Bible says if we break one of God's laws, we break all of them. Even though we cry out for injustice.
It's going downhill here, so we gotta get up there. You want to give an interview? You want to? Can you share your perspective? You want to?
Sure.
All right, sweet.
Okay.
I ran to catch up here with all y'all, so.
Can y'all hear me? All right. While we're getting things together,
You want to take that mic? Take that mic. I can pick this up on that.
All right, cool. While we're out here, this is a wonderful thing. There's a revolution going on, man. There's a revolution going on. Some change is going to come out of this. Mm-hmm. And as I stated earlier, a diamond, before it become a diamond, it has to have pressure. It has to go through something. And that's just where we are. Racism has no place in 2020.
Yeah.
We have to hold officers accountable. One thing that I propose is obviously the training is not working. How officers are trained is not as effective as it should be. Bad cops should not be on the force. Something I propose is, you know how they have exchange students programs? Mm-hmm. You know, a person from America lives with a person from China. I think police officers should live with opposite races for like a year or two to help weed out who's comfortable being around a minority or who's comfortable being around other races. You dig? Again, another thing that we can do is prompt and quick consequences. Don't give these people leave with pay and they just took a life. Don't give them no leave with pay if they just took a life. Let the process go through. And if they prove that it really was self-defense, because, hey, I want to applaud the officers who are helping us and actually doing their job. Not all cops are bad. And this is a real dangerous job. So have sympathy for them as well. But that is not an excuse to take a life and be scared. Just because the color of someone's skin, the same God that made them, made me. and my life does matter.
Thank you. Thank you.
Give it up again for her amazing speech. That was amazing. Thank you so much. We're about to have our first speaker step up here. Please give all of your respect to Cameron Hayden speaking on being black in America.
It's such a blessing seeing all y'all out here. It's so many people, and it's really overwhelming. So I thank all of y'all for coming out here like this, coming to stand for something that means something. Justice is what we need. I'm not really gonna fully talk about being black in America as much as I am gonna talk about the one thing that we should work on personally as a whole. And I'm talking about human beings as a whole. No matter where you come from, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, wherever you come from, you know that there's an inherent trait that they give you, that they teach you as you grow up. The darker you are, the more afraid you should be. You walk by them, you should be a little worried. Clench your purse a little tighter. And I think we need to stop putting that in people's minds. I think we can't teach our kids, as black people, we can't teach our kids, hey, you came home with a white friend. I think you're on the right path. That's not right. We can't have our Hispanic community out here teaching their children, I don't know, black kids do this, they do that. Be careful who you hang out with. We can't have any of our communities separated like this because that's what they want. They want us separate. They don't want us together. Look around you. Look how many people are out here with you. Look at all these people who stand with you. None of these people want this racist shit going on. Excuse my profanity. But none of these people want this racist stuff going on. None of the people around you want this. They don't want violent protests. And it's not like any of us want violent protests. What happened in Minneapolis is a result of the police not listening. Is a result of the justice system not listening. It's been years, countless years. They've killed many people, not just black people, not just Hispanic people, not just Asian people. That police department is corrupt. And the people are upset. I don't justify everything that they've done, but I'm not going to dissuade them from how they've decided to release the frustrations that they have, because I'm not in their position. I am here, and I want us to be peaceful. I want us to come out here and do one thing. I live this one way. I want us to show love. Love isn't about how much you give, or love isn't about how much you receive. It's about how much you give. So show love. Don't show hate. Teach these people your culture. Share it. Let them love you and love them. Thank you. I'm Cam Hayden.
Hell yeah.
Y'all go ahead, give it up again for my man Cameron Hayden. That was beautiful. I'm still the first speaker on our list, Raphael. If you can make your way to the front as soon as possible, please do. Okay, we got him. All right, please give it up for our next speaker, Jordan Pryor.
So, I was originally going to keep this short, and then I started writing this shit at like 5 a.m., and I just started pouring my heart out. So, I'm going to try and keep it as short as possible, because I do understand that this protest is not about me. He agreed, the protest isn't about me.
It's gonna be a minute.
All right. So the reason why we're here is because George Floyd, the unarmed, compliant black man who was choked out by a racist police officer. We're here for Breonna Taylor, the black woman who was killed in her own house by a racist police officer. We're here for Layleen Polanco, the transgendered black woman who was stuck on Rikers Island for a pair of misdemeanor charges and died for reasons that are still unknown. And I just want to say that this comes down to a local level as well. On Saturday night, UNT's own Jakari Williams was tackled off of his bicycle by Denton PD for not having a light on the back of his bicycle. The officer involved called backup, 3 other officers. they continued to brutalize him and arrested him. Mind you, he had been riding with 2 friends that night, both Caucasian.
That's right.
Now, the part that really sickens me is the fact that the UNT president not only tried to say that he didn't go to UNT, which he does, but he said that UNT police were using standard protocol. If there's anyone in the crowd or anyone at home that ends up seeing this video that is still doubting the magnitude of racial injustice in this country, then please explain to me why the justice system took months to arrest the murderers of Ahmaud Arbery,
Yes.
but in days called the National Guard on us. Why are people more pressed about a target burning down and not the murder that caused the target to burn down? I see a lot of faces out here, a lot of angry faces, and you have every right to be angry. When I saw that video, I cried. And I immediately thought that very easily could have been my dad, that could have been my sister, that could have been me. My sister called me in a panic whenever I told her I was going to be speaking at a protest. She's been praying relentlessly for all of us. And honestly, that shouldn't have to be the case. We shouldn't have to pray to be heard. We shouldn't have to fear for our family's safety when they're exercising their freedom of speech in a country that prides itself so much on it. Look, I'm gonna be real. This goes a lot deeper than cops. This goes a lot deeper than Republicans and Democrats. This is solely about racism and systematic oppression. Ruby Bridges, who was the first woman of color to attend a white school, is 65 years old and alive today. Many of you have grandparents older than that. Some of you might even have parents that age. There's still a deep wound of racism that follows the civil rights movement of the 60s and 70s. Many of those same racist individuals who spat at her and called her a nigger as she had to be escorted by armed personnel to go to school are still alive in our society today. And all those racist values get passed down generation to generation. Racism did not die with the civil rights movement. All it did was allow us as black people to occupy the same space and breathe the same air as white people. But as we saw in Minneapolis, we still can't breathe. I refuse to live in a world and raise a family in a world where my brothers and sisters cannot breathe. I will not stop this fight until I can breathe. The African American community will not stop this fight until they can breathe. And to all the people out there, all the people who are not of color that are here for our cause, first of all, thank you. And secondly, we need to stand together in solidarity and as a community to be able to put an end to this racist tyranny. Period. We need to finally be able to breathe that same air that our black grandfathers and black grandmothers worked so hard for us to have. Yes. So whenever they tell you to sit down, you stand up. When they tell you to stop, you keep pushing forward. And when they tell you to be quiet, you shout to the top of your fucking lungs. Yeah! We are all humans. We are all humans. And it's about damn time America treated it that way.
Sorry about that. That was awesome.
Thank you. Really brought me to tears. Let's get it one more time for him, please.
Woo!
I'd like to have another speaker, Raphael, come up next. He is an ally to the Black Lives Matter community. It means so much to me that allies are coming up here and speaking. So give it up for Raphael.
First and foremost, I want to thank you all for coming out this evening and showing solidarity to our black brothers and sisters who have been victims of systematic oppression and racism on part of a corrupt America for far too long. 400 years too long. Now, I'm not African American, but as a Latino, I feel it's important that black and brown people stand together in this fight against injustice. We need to be there and show out for our black brothers and sisters the same way that they show out for us. The same way that they've been there and inspire us to fight back. The same way they've been there to show us an example of what it means to struggle and succeed in white America. Now, there are some brown people out there, primarily Hispanics, who would like to compare our struggles to that of the black community as if it were some kind of sick competition. Now, let me tell all y'all something. Our movement would not be possible if not for the way African Americans have fought for their rights. We would not be able to accomplish half of what we have done without their sacrifice. No. Now, let's not mince words here. Let's not mince words here. We all know that what happened to George Floyd, what happened to Breonna Taylor, what happened to Ahmaud Arbery, what happened to Darius Tarver are all tragic, inexcusable crimes committed by hate-filled whites. But these are only the most recent in a long, long line of blacks being murdered in cold blood for the past 400 years. All right. Sorry.
Speak on it, dog. You good. You good.
We cry out that the other officers present at George Floyd's murder are just as guilty as the man with the knee on his neck. But if we stand idly by and watch our black brothers and sisters struggle, then what better does that make us? We cry out, abolish ICE. But who were the first abolitionists? We cry out that our ancestors and our culture make it hard for us to succeed here in America. I need to remind you all of something. Our parents and grandparents came here in search of an American dream. Their great and great-great-grandparents were taken from their homes and forced to build that America we dream about. All right? Now, to all of you out there who say, all lives matter.
Damn right. Damn right.
To all of you out there that say all lives matter, do you not realize we are not the oppressed? We are not the oppressed in this situation. Of course all lives matter. We know that. The issue is black lives are so often not considered. All right? And in the eyes of white America, are worth much less than a white life. Just because African Americans are not physically segregated anymore does not mean that equality has been achieved. We still have a long way to go, and we cannot be satisfied with what those in power call progress. All right? Are things really better now than they were back then? Are things really better when the educational gap between the rich and the poor dictates how far you can go in life? Are things really better when what zip code you're born in dictates how much money you'll make when you're 30? Are things really better when we have a sitting president who calls Nazis fine people and calls the National Guard on peaceful protesters? And are things really better when we are still afraid and outraged at those that are supposed to serve and protect us? This is not better, and we will not stop until it is better. I think Malcolm X put it best when he said, If you stick a 9-inch knife in my back and pull it out 6 inches, that's not progress. If you pull it out all the way, that's not progress. Progress is healing the wound that the blow made. And they have not even pulled out the knife, much less heal that wound. Now, I'm not African American, but I mourn these senseless deaths with all of you. My community mourns these senseless deaths with all of you. And I need you to know that you are loved and you are heard and that your anger is our anger. We see you and we will fight for you. To my non-black people of color, to my white allies, this is a call to action. To fight for and to protect the rights of the black communities in our country. We cannot stand idly by any longer. We can only win this fight if we go in unified, strong, and looking out for one another. So ask yourself, what side of history do you want to be on? Silence is our worst enemy, and we are through being silent!
Damn right.
Thank you so much, Raphael.
Thank you, Raphael.
Thank you so much. Give it up again one more time for him. One more time. Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker is truly, truly special. He's the father of Darius Tarver. Wants to say a few words. So please give it up for Kevin Tarver.
Let's go. Remember DJ.
First of all, I want to commend everyone that comes out here tonight. This is what you talk about is unity.
Yes, sir.
Because if we don't stand together, a house divided will fall.
Yes, sir.
But no matter what's going on in this world, if we don't come together, the world will not come together. And with the young faces that I see out here tonight, now my son is gone. A lot of you might not get to know him personally, but he was a UNT student.
Yes, sir.
And the thing is that he wanted to make a difference. He wanted to be an officer himself because he seen the indifferences. He wanted to make change. And the very thing that he wanted to make change in is the very thing that killed him. So how ironic is that? I stand myself as a police chaplain. I stand as a chief advisory council because I wanted to make a difference. But even though I was making a difference in my own town, it didn't matter in another city that his color would get him killed. So even with us trying to do the right thing, teaching the children to do the right thing, trying to obey, yet if you have people that's over you that will not follow their own rules, what do? My son, they said, I hate to say it, but then they tried to put him on drugs. He never had drugs. He never used drugs. They tried to say he stabbed the officer, but let me tell you, the officer wasn't stabbed. So these are the lies they tell to justify the injustices that go on. I am not standing against police. I am not standing against the departments, but I stand against those that abuse their power and the injustices that come against our people. My son was a criminal justice major. My son had just given his life to Christ. Amen. And I'm going to tell y'all, this is not only a natural war, this is a spiritual war. Amen. Because there's too many spirits that's dominating this county. And not only this county, but this country. This is spiritual warfare, and this is not only spiritual warfare. I stand as an ambassador for Christ, that I will lead and I will stand in that fight. No power, no principalities, no demons will run this anymore. We will not be silent. We will not stand back, but we will stand up and be warriors for Christ. My son cannot stand here and he cannot speak for himself. And today I let you know, I officially started his organization, which is Darius Jarrell Tarver Justice Network. And it will make changes, it will bring laws, it will make a difference, it will save other children's life that their parents will not have to deal with what I and my family are having to go through. It's about transparency, which we didn't get. It's about accountability, which we still hadn't solved. Most of all, it's about justice, which we demand. And that's why we say, I understand now, because as a father, seeing your child murdered by the people that's supposed to protect him, when you stand with them and when they try to defy their own rules, that's an injustice to the people. Not all officers are bad. So don't come against all officers. But those that are wrong, they need to be held accountable. When they make mistakes, they need to be held accountable. If they're supposed to be well trained, they have to be held to a higher standard. There cannot be a delay in justice, because if there's no justice, there is no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. And as I finally said, all the people that have been killed needlessly in this country, we stand with the families. Because of myself, I can tell you, it's an unimaginable feeling to see your child, your loved one, murdered. And yet, they justify. They lie. But today I tell you, with this type of unity, change will come. Change will